Can you imagine my surprise when I found out that this temple is sitting in the middle of Cardston, Alberta? Now, this isn't a mid-century building, obviously, but it is an important structure for Alberta. Number one, it's the first temple that was built outside of the US. And number two, it's the first building that got bids from architects. The two winners that got the bid were in their 20s, Burton and Pope. And they were based out of Chicago, and obviously they had influences from Frank Lloyd Wright and Mayan architecture. Each rock or stone was incredibly heavy, and it was pulled here from Nelson, BC by horse and carriage. This is incredible. The Cardston Alberta Temple.
So these over here are the first 4 drawings that I did. The Banff Springs up there, I did that in 1979, and then the Capitol building in Edmonton, and then the Lougheed House, and then I did the temple. So those are my first 4 historical buildings I did in Alberta. Well, it kind of reminded me of what Frank Lloyd Wright liked to do, and then I did find out that the architects used his influence and designed it. They liked Frank Lloyd Wright, and I don't know if they went to school with him or what, but there was a love there anyway. So that's what captured my interest.
Part of the renovation was trying to gather up a lot of the things that had been removed from the temple.
Yes.
And I guess that the thing I've always appreciated about the church with their temples is that they literally make the rules so stringent that one of the things that we always come across as architects is that the most powerful people with architecture are the caretakers. They're the ones that make all the decisions.
Yes.
And they make all the changes.
Yeah.
Well, in the case of the temples, the other issue was temple presidents and their wives. Because when they got here, the wives thought it was part of their job to change the celestial room or all those things. And anyway, I know that they had to go around and collect a lot of the light fixtures and a lot of other pieces of the furniture that Pope and Burton had created for the building.
Well, there's storage spaces between the floors, and so they had stored a lot of drawings, architectural drawings.
As well, before the renovation occurred, you could actually see where the original work was done and where somebody else had come along and done a poor job.
Yes. Yeah. But if you look at the courtyard, this was added on in 91, 92, and you look at the sculptures that are on here, the carving, that can be done with pneumatic hammers and such. But you look up there at the granite carving that's on the main part of the temple. It's not one solid block, I guess is what I'm saying.
And it took 10 years to build it.
10 years, and starting in 1913 to 1923.
Yeah, they were barely 26 years old.
Yeah, and what was the other one, 30 or something?
Pope and Harold Burton and
Pope.
Well, they designed all of the furniture and all of the light fixtures in the temple.
Those are made by blacksmiths. This gate is a blacksmith-made gate. No welding, no arc welding, no brazing. This is screws and hammer, put that together. Bolts, I guess, would be a better term. This was electrified. This had electricity in 1923.
Yeah.
And those lights above your head there, they were done in 1923. The gate was lit.
Another first for the church. Most people are not aware of this, but the tabernacle in Salt Lake is, along with the Washington Monument, were the two first uses of aluminum on the roof.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was a stake president down in Logan, Utah. And the prophet asked him to come up to Canada and find a place where the saints could live peacefully. And so he came up and was guided to this land. And this is where the saints originally came up and were settled. But it was called Cardstown at that time. And now it's Cardston in honor of him.
My great-grandfather joined the church in Norwich, England. Then he went to Utah. And then he came up along with Charles Ora Card. And he was a cobbler. Mm-hmm. He made boots for the Northwest Mounted Police.
Oh, sure.
And then he started a clothing store up on the hill in Cardston. And then my grandfather started the Atkins store down below there, and that's been on the street now for 130 years.
Well, if you look at Sterling and Raymond and McGrath and Cardston, you'll find members of the church have settled all across Canada, in every major city across Canada and some of the towns, from the pioneers that came here. And the Lord put this temple here because he knew that from that little group of pioneers there were going to be hundreds of thousands now. In fact, just in this temple district, I think are 40,000 Latter-day Saints for just this temple district, not counting Calgary or Edmonton anymore.
And there's also access from the States, right?
Right.
Because you're so close from the States.
Well, see, this was the first temple outside the United States, served all of Canada and all the states along the border. So they could come. They were close enough.
It's that the size of Cardston that every member of the church knows where Cardston is.
Yes, that's right.
They may not know a lot about it, but they know where Cardston is.
It is. Well, if you look...
The tip for the mid-century dweller this week is where to shop for mid-century furniture. In my personal opinion, I would check out Luge Milieu, which happens to be owned and curated by the daughter of Gordon Atkins, the architect that you just saw in this video, Laura Atkins. When I first had Mid-Century Dwellers showroom, there were a couple of us retail sellers, and now there are over dozens of Instagram sellers and retailers all over the province. But my choice is Laura, simply because she grew up under the wing of her father, so she has incredible knowledge about furniture and even spanning into jewelry. Her shop is about 1,200 square feet, so you're just getting, the best quality, fair pricing, and a very warm person to deal with. So I would check her out, Instagram under Luge Milieu, or her Facebook, and soon to be website lugemilieu.com.